Welcome to part 4 of our trip to Australia. Our 4th full day in Australia is actually traveling from Sydney to Cairns. We decided to start the day by having a walk to breakfast and going to a local coffee roaster that served a Japanese breakfast. The breakfast was a little on the pricey side, but it was quite excellent and we're glad we were able to make it before we left Sydney. And since we would be traveling all day, we got a baked snack on the way out the door. On the way back from our Japanese breakfast, we saw a donut place called Shortstop. It was intriguing because it looked like a little fancy donut shop with really interesting flavors. So we went in and grabbed a donut for eating at the airport. It ended up being one of the best donuts we'd ever had, so we highly recommend stopping by Shortstop if you're in the area. After breakfast, we walked back to the hotel, grabbed our luggage, and checked out. It was about a 10-minute walk to get to the central station from our hotel. Once we got to the train station, we took the train to the Sydney domestic airport. Once in the airport, we grabbed a small bite just to make sure we didn't get too hungry on our flight over. Since this was more of a regional commuter flight from Sydney to Cairns, we ended up with pretty tight leg room. It was about 2 hours and 45 minutes in the air, and it didn't feel too long at all. The great thing was that we landed with plenty of daylight left. After standing in line for a taxi for about 15 minutes, we finally got our taxi and headed to our hotel. Once we got to the hotel and tried to pay, our taxi driver couldn't get his credit card payment system working, so we ended up having to go to a close-by ATM to get some cash to pay him. We booked a pretty fancy hotel with 2 pools, and right above us in this shot is one of the pools that you can see through the kind of skylight. We never did end up using either pool, so we can't really comment on if they were nice or not. Why do you turn the lights on? Jeez.
That's not good. Oh, look at the smell.
Yeah, there is.
Wow, but look at the mountain view, man.
After getting settled into our room, we headed out onto the Esplanade. We were right next to the night market, but it was only sort of a night market. There was a small food court, and right behind it, a bunch of touristy things to buy. The main thing that made it a night market was that it was open late. After a quick trip around the night market, we ended up at the Copper Bar and Grill to get some dinner. It was pretty okay, but nothing special. We would definitely have some better dinners in our next few nights in the Cairns. After dinner, we headed over to Woolworths to get some sunblock. We saw all kinds of ways to dispense sunblock, one of which was a spray bottle, which we got, and we really didn't like, so we advise against getting those. After grabbing some items from Woolworths, we went and got some frozen yogurt as a dessert, and we went back to our hotel. We were calling it an early night because we were up the next morning going snorkeling.